everyone, my name is Mary. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by, and if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. And as you can tell from the title of this video, I'm going to ask the question, are weight loss injections a fad? Two reasons why I'm bringing this up. One, because I have had some rude people in my personal life, believe it or not, make comments about me being on weight loss medications, even though I'm diabetic. So I explained that it wasn't actually for weight loss, it was for blood sugar control and weight loss, but they didn't hear that. They heard the name of the medication I'm on and immediately were like, oh, you jumped on the weight loss fad. And then the second thing was that I was scrolling TikTok late last night and I came across a creator that was talking about how she wrote a book like 20 years ago about weight loss and diet, and people lost weight with her methods, and she was so proud of herself because she doesn't like it when people jump on medications like Ozempic for an easy fix to their problems. And I was like, them's fighting words. But it did open a conversation in my head, it opened a lot of thoughts in my head about the fad that has came with some of these medications. And as somebody who is taking Mounjaro right now and was on Ozempic in the past, it's important to talk about because I think that there's such a stigma even now that's associated with being on these medications. So for a long time, I didn't even tell anybody that I was taking Ozempic. I was taking a compounded version of semaglutide because shortages. You couldn't get regular Ozempic, like the starting doses in my area. And so I was taking a compounded version. Also, I didn't have insurance coverage. That's a whole story you can read, or you can listen to, I should say, in previous videos. But essentially, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody for a long time. And finally, when I switched over to Mounjaro and I was starting to see results, and I started to see people be like, oh my goodness, did you lose weight? Your face looks thinner. You know how people do. People were commenting, and I was like, crap, I'm going to have to say something, or I'm going to have to at least be like, yeah, I lost a little weight. I decided to just come out and do a TikTok about it. And it was very mixed reactions. You had half the people in my life who were like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you, making a change, blah, blah, blah. And then I had other people that were like genuinely concerned. Oh my goodness, you're going to get cancer. You're going to go 3 heads and start speaking gibberish. Like they just, it was one extreme or the other. And I did have many people say they were sad I was jumping on the weight loss fad. I wanted to talk about it. Let's have an open, honest conversation about it because I would love to hear other people's take on this, especially if you're on the medication yourself. So I've said this a million times before, but I am on the medications primarily because I am diabetic. My health has just been taking a trajectory into the toilet. And in order to stop myself from being dead before I'm 50, I decided to take the plunge and to try Ozempic first, obviously the compounded version. And now that I have insurance coverage, I'm on Mounjaro. And first and foremost, a couple of really major changes that have happened from a diabetic standpoint. My blood sugars are down. My A1C went from diabetic range to pre-diabetic range. And I no longer have neuropathy in my toes. I mean, I do have some from cancer treatment, but I was starting to get worse neuropathy in my toes from the diabetes. That's gone. Now I just have numb toes because of what chemo did to them, but I don't have any additional numbness and tingling and pain like I was getting before that was coming from the diabetes. So I am already seeing major changes just in the diabetic stuff, not even counting the fact that I'm down almost 31 pounds in weight. With all of that being said, when it comes to is medications like Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, Zepbound, are those a fad? No. From a medical standpoint, no. From somebody who deals with actual conditions that these medications treat, no. There are so many of us out here, and to put this in context, not only was I PCOS as a youngin, diagnosed with PCOS in my 20s, and dealt with insulin resistance my entire life, was overweight my entire life. I hit puberty and I gained weight. I have a history of ovarian cancer. I went into menopause, surgical menopause at the age of 35. So a lot of issues, but there are a lot of other people I've met in this journey of GLP-1, Mounjaro, and all this stuff that are in the same boat. They have PCOS, they have insulin resistance, they're diabetic. There's all kinds of reasons, and these medications are primarily to target those. Zepbound has also been approved for things like helping with sleep apnea, which also I have sleep apnea. There are actual medical conditions, and I do not think that's a fad. I think these medications were developed by scientists and doctors that realize that there is a bigger picture to obesity than what people want to believe. Because I grew up in the diet culture where if you're fat, it's because you're lazy. Fat and lazy, that's what I grew up with. You could lose weight if you wanted to, you just don't want to. And that's not true, because if it was a willpower situation, I would be skinny right now. And trust me, it's not because I don't want to. I would absolutely want to lose weight, which is why I'm trying what I'm trying now. So I think that this is purely just medical breakthroughs, life-changing medications, and I do think that we're going to continue to see more and more versions of these medications come out. We're going to start to see pill versions. We're going to see better versions of what we've got. They're going to continue to experiment, because I think that they're still fine-tuning how these work, and also because not everybody's the same. For example, Ozempic might work better for one person, Mounjaro might work better for the other person, and somebody else might have a new medication they haven't developed yet that's going to be the best for them. So anyways, that is not a fad. What is a fad is the way in which these medications have taken off in the world of like celebrity and in the news, because every celebrity, I feel like under the sun in the last couple years, has been on Ozempic, talked about Ozempic, mentioned it, whatever. I feel like it is the thing now where you're like, oh, so-and-so lost 100 pounds because she took Ozempic. And you're like, but why does everybody need to know that? I'm happy for the person, but why does everybody need to know that? And I think the fact that it's becoming so sensationalized is giving it the fad, this like fad diet thing. And it's not a fad diet. It's not a fad diet. However, it can be. Let me tell you why. Where things are getting a little bit shaky is when it comes to the compounded versions of these medications, and how when that became a thing, it became a free-for-all. Let me explain what I mean by that, because I don't want people to get like all up in their feels. Basically, what I mean by that is there are a lot of legitimate companies out there. I know because I was on compounded Ozempic, and there are places out there that were actually checking to make sure whether or not you needed the medication. I went to a local med spa that you were with an actual doctor. You had to have medical conditions. You weren't just going to walk in and be like, I need to lose 10 pounds. They were prescribing you Ozempic. That's not how that worked. You had to have actual problems. Your BMI had to be a certain BMI. You had to have either diabetes or some kind of insulin resistance, or you had to have other problems like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, whatever. They had certain criteria that you needed to meet in order for them to give you something like this. They had other options for people who weren't in that category. Like, I need to lose 20 pounds, but I don't have any other health issues. That's the people that they would be like, let's try an appetite suppressant. Let's try diet and exercise. Let's go on a special blah, 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 whatever. But you had to meet certain criteria to qualify for Ozempic, Mounjaro, and all those. But how many of us have heard about the places that didn't? And I actually did experience, I went for one consultation, not going to name the place. It was a health spa. Walked in, walked out, because I walked in, and I kid you not, the entire thing was just a giant advertisement for all of these vitamins, special stuff. They were like, here's a special shot for your scalp to make your hair grow. And here's, this shot's going to help with energy. And basically they were trying to push their supplements on you. And one of the things they were pushing was weight loss medications. You could walk in there and leave with a prescription for Ozempic and not need it. They didn't care. They were pushing their compounds. They were also pushing their own version of a weight loss injectable that was actually just like a bunch of vitamins that they were saying is not as strong as Ozempic, but will help you lose weight. And I was like, what's in it? That's our patented formula. And I'm like, and if you can't tell me what's in it, I'm not putting that in my body. So there unfortunately were places, and again, I experienced one where you walked in and they were going to give you whatever you wanted, including Ozempic. You need to lose 5 pounds? Here's Ozempic. And you're like, wait, what? Do I really need to do that for 5 pounds? But they were doing it. That's where it becomes a fad, because I do think that some of these compounds kind of became a free-for-all in certain areas. And at least in my experience and in my area, there were some places that were really not regulating and not paying attention. They just wanted to, like, here's your prescription, give me your money so we can make some bank. There were also some online places that were very similar. And what makes that so difficult is the places that were actually legit, who actually sat down with you, and real doctors had conversations about how they can help you, what you like, doctors that actually care and want you to be healthy. And I'm so grateful that I found a place that did that. And I have friends who did online companies who also were wonderful and actually cared about their patients. But those bad apples kind of ruined it for people, because you also started seeing articles go out into the media and they gave these a bad name, right? So you would have, and I don't remember the name of the person or where it was located, but it was an online article, maybe like 4 or 5, maybe 6 months ago, where it was a woman who went on Ozempic and she ended up with like bone loss and all kinds of health issues from taking the medication. But when you looked at her and you read the story and you looked at the fine print, right? She went on the medication to lose 10 pounds. And I'm like, but why would a doctor prescribe you a high dose of Ozempic to lose 10 pounds? It just, unless you have other underlying health issues, like you're diabetic, you have insulin resistance, and you actually do need the help of a medication like that, why would your doctor prescribe that to you if you're just like, yeah, I need to lose the baby weight and I need to lose 10 pounds? It seems a little drastic. And when you read the story and you actually put all the pieces together, you realize that she was probably not somebody who should have been taking it. And she was going to a place that was not regulating why you're on it and who should be taking it. So anyways, I do think that is a fad. I think that the biggest question I have is, now that we know that compounded medications are going to become not a thing anymore, because there's lawsuits and this is not going to be a thing unless something drastically happens in the laws. My question is going to be, what risks are going to be out there when you have these people that are so desperate to be on the medications and they no longer have access to them because either their insurance doesn't cover or they can't afford to buy out of pocket. You know, there's different coupon savings programs out there, but sometimes even that's just not affordable to people. So when that becomes an issue, how desperate will people become? Especially when I have, at a few of these places, seen these patented vitamin thingies they put together, and then they call them a weight loss medication. They said, this is our version of the weight loss injectable. And I just am like, but what is in that, and is that safe? And can you really, like, do you really want to put that in your body because you don't know what's in it? That is where I worry about the fad, because what happens when someone is so desperate that they don't care and they'll try anything, and the thing they try ends up not being safe? So yeah, that's my opinion. My opinion is the actual FDA approved medication where you're consulting with your doctor and your doctor has your best interest at heart and is actually prescribing the medication because you need it. I think that's not the fad. Where it is the fad is the everybody else. And the fact that the media is just pushing celebrities being on the medication so much, it's kind of frustrating, because like I said, it's given weight loss medication, like the injectable medications, a bad name. And I am still surprised at how much hate I get. And it's the easy way. It's not the easy way out. Yeah, it helps like silence the food noise. It gives you appetite control. It helps like get your inflammation down. At least Mounjaro does. It does help a lot of things, but I still have to control what I'm putting in my mouth. I still have to get up every day and decide to go for a walk. Like, I still have to put in work. This is not the easy way out. And that's where I become frustrated. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. I want to hear what you guys think. Have you also received a little bit of hate for being like on Ozempic or Mounjaro or something similar? And how have you handled it? Or have you not told anybody because you're worried about catching a little hate? I would be interested to hear your experience. Otherwise, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, all the things. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.